up, my little gorgeous people? Welcome back to another day on my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be bringing back a topic that I haven't talked about in a long time. This was kind of like a series on my channel, but not really a series, if that makes sense. And it's about my dad, so we're gonna bring that topic back up because there's some things that I want to address and I want to clear up, and I want to be like a voice that could help other people that are going through the same problems that I went through as when I was younger, or the problems that I'm going through now, stuff like that. It's kind of like just one of those, when you hear other people talking about it and you realize that other people have these problems and that you're not alone, it's easier for other people to come out about it, I like to think. And especially that's how it is for me. So I decided that's what I'm going to make this video about, dedicate this video to, and yada yada blah blah blah. But we're going to let my intro roll in and then I'm going to start talking about this video. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. As you guys know, there's no surprise that my dad isn't really active in my life. And I'm gonna say not really active, he's just never been completely there for me personally. And of course, when I was younger, I've explained this briefly in other videos, I used to think my dad was the best person. No one was better than my dad, not even my mom. It was always my dad. I was a daddy's girl. I thought my dad was the best person. He loved me more than anything in the world. And of course, that's what a young girl's gonna think. That's something when I'm older and I have kids, if I have girls, I want them to feel that way. I want them to think that their dad's the best person in the world, or that their mom's the best person in the world, or whatever. I want them to feel important and loved by my significant other, whether it's their actual parent, or if it's a step parent, or just whatever it is in the future. So of course, with me being 100% only for my dad, after him and my mom broke up, I didn't care for anybody else. I didn't want her with anybody else. I thought she was a horrible person for leaving my dad. And of course, at the time, I was in third, fourth, fifth grade when that stuff happened. I grew up throughout elementary school with my parents arguing and hearing them argue and stuff like that. I remember it wasn't our counselor. I think she was the special ed counselor or whatever. But for whatever reason, I loved her and she loved me. And if I ever had a problem, I'd go to her office. And I remember one day I went to her office and we were talking. And I don't really remember why I felt this way or what happened. But I was explaining that my parents at home were always arguing, and I remember asking her if it was my fault, did I do something to cause them to argue? And I guess she got in touch with my mom and asked if it was okay for her to talk to me about this kind of topic, and my mom gave her the go-ahead. And I remember she pulled me out of class one day with this book. There's a book for everything for kids, I'm not even gonna lie, literally there's always, hello. And she read me this book, explained to me that it wasn't your fault that your parents were arguing, that this is a thing that parents do, and sometimes it's healthy for them to argue, or sometimes things are changing and parents are gonna change, and situation and home life are going to change. Sometimes they'll be with both parents, or maybe you'll see one parent on the weekends and the other parent on the weekdays, or maybe you'll see them every other holiday, depending on how life works out for you. Of course, no one's going to understand that when they're little. You don't really understand why your parents aren't together or why they're not happy. And as I get older, I want to very much so thank my mom and appreciate my mom, because no matter how much she irritates me or she pisses me off, or even when I just want to say I hate her, which I don't, because I've never hated anybody in my life. Two, I could never hate my mom. She did so much for me because she wanted me to feel that connection with my dad, and she wanted me to have that connection with my dad. She knew that my dad she knew that he wasn't there for me and everything, but she still continued to make him out to be the good guy for me. I remember I wanted to go see a movie with my dad and he told me no, and I was oh, and I remember being upset, and I was talking to my mom about it, and of course he told me no because he didn't have money. My dad wasn't really working. So my mom gave my dad the money so he could take me out to the movies, and I didn't know my mom had given my dad the money. I just thought, okay, maybe my dad changed his mind, or maybe he was joking, and he took me to the movies, and it was great as a child. But now growing up and seeing that that's the stuff that my mom had to do, my mom played the role as both mom and dad for the longest time, and a lot of moms are doing that out there. And I'm not gonna just make this video only moms do this, or dads are all no, there are dads that play mom and dad, and it's great but also sad at the same time, because they shouldn't have to, but they do. And I guess that's the thing about being a parent, is you always want to see this life form that you've created happy, and you want to see them grow, and you want to, it's like a flower, maybe you could explain it. I don't really know, I'm not a parent, but I want to say about my dad, there's just a lot that was always going wrong that, of course, as a young child, I wasn't ever going to understand. I didn't know my dad was cheating on my mom for the majority of the relationship. I didn't understand that. I didn't know that my dad had went to prison. I most definitely didn't understand that. I just was oh, he's not here, and then all of a sudden he was there, and I was oh, what's up, I was little, I didn't understand that. I didn't know that the person that my mom trusted a lot was sleeping with my dad secretly. That's up that I found out when I got older. And it's not my mom told me that to make me hate my dad, but it was more when I started growing my own opinion on my dad and asking my mom more questions, she finally was like, okay, I'm going to tell you this, but only when I believe that you're ready. And she did wait until she thought I was ready. And I would say from the ages of 12 to 14, realizing everything when it came to my dad was like some of the hardest years of my life, because I don't remember what happened. I was listening to this one song, I think it was by like Demi Lovato or something, because, you know, love that girl, like queen right there. And I was listening to music and I was doing homework and I was crying because I was like, wow, like what did I do wrong for my dad not to love me? And I remember like I came downstairs bawling my eyes out because, you know, I'm an emotional, and my mom was on the phone and she's like, oh, hold on, I'll call you back, my daughter's crying. And like I remember asking her why my dad didn't love me, and that's something that most definitely I would say hurts for a parent, no matter if it's a mom or a dad, to hear why didn't this person love me enough. Because like I watched the freaking scene from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when Will was like, why didn't he love me? I was like, oh my god, that hurts. Like I understand that feeling. Or like when people who go through foster care, like I just like, obviously I don't understand the feeling of going through foster care, but I understand the feeling of not feeling wanted and feeling unloved. And I think that's something that a lot of people can relate to in a lot of different ways, and that's something that like I want to bring light to. Like, just because you have a parent that isn't doesn't mean that the other parent isn't the sorry. Just because you have a parent that like isn't there, is absent and doesn't care, doesn't mean that the other parent's the same way, and you shouldn't treat the other parent that way as well. Because a lot of I'll be honest, even to this day, my mom will say something stupid and it'll like piss me off, and like my whole demeanor will change, and she'll understand that. And like I want to be different because my mom doesn't deserve that. Like my mom does so much, and even though sometimes with what she does it pisses me off, she still sacrifices a lot, she does a lot, and I appreciate her for that, and I love her greatly for that. I remember like my mom and my dad, they broke up, and for the longest time she wasn't sleeping in her bedroom. She would like sleep downstairs in our basement, because in Iowa we are allowed to have basements, unlike places in Texas. So yeah, we had basements and stuff, and my mom had a daycare, and she'd sleep in the basement, and then she'd like come upstairs, take her shower and everything, and get ready for the daycare kids to come over so she could like do her job and everything. And I didn't know that they weren't like sleeping in the same place. I had always just assumed that like just asleep, and then by the time I woke up they were already both awake. And then eventually I moved into my sister's room, and once she moved out, left for college, I moved into her room because I was like, I want my own space. So it was easier for my mom to like sneak around and not show me that there were problems going on for her and my dad. Eventually my mom got into a relationship with this guy that she was so in love with, and even though they're not together now, I know my mom, like, if given the chance to like go back and maybe like change something about the relationship or whatever, I'm pretty sure she would, because like my mom was so happy with him. I've never seen her that happy in her life, and I wish that at that time I had understood that that was what made my mom happy, because I thought she was cheating on my dad. I was like, oh, you're like with this other guy, but you're supposed to be with my dad, like you guys live in the same house and everything. And I remember being so unhappy, and I couldn't stand him, and my mom didn't want us to like meet because she knew that I wasn't understanding of the situation, I would say. And I wish like if there was anything I could do to go back in time, is like just understand that that's what made my mom happy, and like be there to support her, because my mom pushed away in some sense when it came to me, since I didn't like him, but at the same time she still, I don't know, it's really hard to explain, because like as a child I didn't understand it, and I don't completely understand it now, but I understand it more about to be 17, understanding what my mom went through and everything. There's not really much I'm gonna go into with this video, because like I don't want to start crying, because like I'm already emotional and I'm upset about the whole situation. But I want to be like a voice for the people who watch my videos and the people who go through the same thing as me when it comes to the certain situation. Like, even though it feels like you're drowning and you're in a freaking, it's the middle of winter and you're drowning under a lake and the ice is freezing over, all you have to do is just break that barrier so you can take a breath of air. And you have to go through hard times to get to a better time, and that's something I genuinely believe. And as much as I hate it and as much as I think it's fucked up, you can't just have good things in life. Life is, what is it, a yin yang? Is that what you say it? Ooh. It's a balance. If you have a really good thing, eventually maybe a bad thing will happen, or if you have a really bad thing, eventually an equally good thing is going to come along. And just remember that it does get better. No matter how much you think that the world is ending, it will 100% get better for you, and there's nothing more I can say than that. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe, share with your friends, tell me what other kind of topics you want to see me talk about. I love you guys so much. Peace out, and I'll see you guys in I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.